I think it's fair for us to start off, Rob, with what happened yesterday with Director of Secret Service. Rob, if we can just play some of the clips, okay? And I will tell you guys one thing here. When you see her being forced to be subpoenaed to answer some questions, there was nothing that you heard that she answered any questions. Rob, actually, surprisingly so, I would like to start off with AOC. Did you guys see what AOC said about the Secret Service when she was questioning her?
No.
Can you pull up AOC? Do you have this, Rob, on what AOC said?
I'll find it.
Let me tell you, for me, you got to give credit when credit's due. I thought AOC, her opening and how she challenged her, I was so impressed, and I think you will be as well. Rob, if you have it, play this clip with AOC. Go for it.
Cortez from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheatle, respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are currently in the midst of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment. That is also paired with, of course, elections happening across the country that are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that.
This is AOC.
This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party. There need to be answers. Again, this party, this committee, this is not a moment of theater. We have to make policy decisions, and we have to make them now. We do.
That's right.
And that may be and that may require legislation. That may require policy that we must pass in the immediate term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something that we can accept. I'll give you my thoughts on this
here. If you want to pause it. Well, go ahead, Vin.
Oh, my God. It's so hard to believe any of the Democrats because this is the first time that somebody sat in front of them that both sides, like meaning the right is being right and people on the left. This is the first time. Because, by the way, she can't talk. She can't praise her. No matter who the Republicans put up, AOC and all these freaking leftists always bash them, from Brett Kavanaugh to whoever it is. They just try to destroy their lives. From Candace Owens, they tried to destroy you. She has to say this, PBD. She has to, because it's a complete. She can't be up there and be like, no, stick up for her. She's doing her job. I mean,
Tom, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't believe her.
So I agree with the history of AOC's positions. Just grate me, and we can go down the list. And Vinny was starting. What I think I saw here was AOC suddenly got religion, and she suddenly understands how big the machine is, and she's walking in there, holy cow. You know, look at what just happened. We had an assassination attempt, we got an election going on, and I think her eyebrows popped up real high, and she's like, we need to get to the bottom of this. And I think she suddenly felt the weight of her responsibility as a representative. I don't like her positions. I don't like her theater. She talks about theater. She's full of theater. Yeah. I don't care for that. But what I do think, I think she got religion, and I think she got a wake-up call. And there were some other things she said about Kamala being replaced, where she actually pulled down a tweet that was critical of the DNC and her own party.
Adam.
Well, let's get real here for a second. Trump should not be alive right now. Can we just take a second to recognize that Trump got shot in the face, on the ear, 1 inch over? Trump is dead.
Half an inch.
Trump is dead, and Biden is literally the walking dead at this point. Yeah. So here you have the person who's most accountable for Trump potentially being dead right now. Kim Cheatle is her name.
Yep.
Director of the Secret Security.
Yep.
Secret Service. And
reports to my
she's being grilled. Now, here's my point, by lawmakers on the left and the right. How often do Democrats, Republicans, far left, far right agree?
That's why it's weird.
So you can read into that whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're all basically trying to hold her accountable. And I use that word for a reason, because the people grilling her, the main people, were from the Oversight Committee. We talk about 2025 is probably going to be the year of accountability if Trump is elected. We'll see what happens there. But so on the right, you have a guy named Jim Comer. He's the chairman of the Oversight Committee. On the left, you have the Jamie Raskin, who I think we were in talk was at one point, the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. They're basically saying, how the hell did this guy get on the roof? Answer that. Peggy Mace, Nancy Mace, she was one of the people that got McCarthy out of office.
Why don't we watch these?
So, yeah.
Why don't we watch these? What I want to do is I want to watch these, go through them. I was basically just playing AOC to just get, because Vinny was wanting to say something. I don't want to feel like we're going through the panel.
Okay.
Let's watch all of these and then we'll come back to it. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip.
Why was Crooks able to fly a drone over the entire area the day of the rally and the day of his assassination attempt?
To my knowledge, he did not fly the drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event.
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline
Watch
that
this.
do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
How?
That doesn't
That's shocking.
People are
that is
laughing.
absolutely.
You can pause it.
And
You
it's
can
not
pause it.
funny. And
No,
it's not funny.
Of course it's not funny. I got a timeline here to go through. What do you mean you don't have a timeline, right? You got July 13, 510. Crooks is seen on the rally grounds, and he became a suspicious person of interest at the rally about an hour before Trump walked up to the podium. 20 minutes later, law enforcement officers spot Crooks with a backpack and a golf rangefinder. 22 minutes later, at 5:52, the U.S. Secret Service locates Crooks on the roof of a building about 150 yards from the podium where Trump was set to address the crowd. The lawmaker says Crooks reportedly accessed the rooftop by climbing up an air-conditioned unit, possibly using a ladder. At 6 p.m., that's 8 minutes later, Trump walks up to the podium at the Butler Farm show just after 6 p.m. and speaks to a crowd standing on all sides of him. Minutes later, some rally attendees start pointing towards someone on a nearby rooftop with a rifle, according to witnesses' accounts and video footage from the events. A local law enforcement officer climbs onto the rooftop and sees Crooks with a rifle, sources told Fox News. Crooks points the gun at the officer, who falls back. 12 minutes later, at 6:12, gunshots ring out from the direction of the person on the rooftop about 26 seconds before the shooter's neutralized. Then you got a minute to 7 minutes later, Secret Service agents moved Trump off stage and into a security vehicle. Took him 7 minutes to do it. You don't have a timeline. You're sitting there. Let's continue with this, because this is going to get more and more ludicrous. Play this next clip.
Because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable. There is no aspect of this that indicates that there has been any protection to Donald Trump. The threat was identified before he took the stage, and the shooter was only killed after Donald Trump himself was killed. Not only should you resign, if you refuse to do so, President Biden needs to fire you, because 100%. His life, Donald Trump's life, and all the other people which you protect are at risk because you have no concept of the aspect that the security footprint needs to be correlated to the threat. I yield back.
Go to the Mace one, Rob.
Yes.
Go to the Mace one. That's the main one. Watch this.
You stated earlier Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chair.
Did you see the part where she says
you're full of shit?
No, I don't know if you have this. She goes, in my 5 minutes, I will yield to you, and you can give your speech on why you should resign. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Would you like to resign now?
Vivek moment.
Or no? And she goes,
she said no.
No, thank you. Boom. When you have the Democrats and the Republicans both saying, listen, you got to go. She goes, no, I'm good. Someone needs to fire this lady.
Two things.
Insane.
2 things. I tried looking up her party affiliation. It's not, and you can't find it if she voted Democrat or anything. Joe Biden did appoint her. But guys, and Adam, you made a good point. Let's just fast forward. Donald Trump is dead right now. Guess what happens? She still goes up here. She does not get arrested Nothing happens to her, PBD. No accountability. They're saying it's incompetence. I think it's highly orchestrated negligence. This is exactly what they do. You kill the king, and everybody goes like this. No, it wasn't me. The roof was sloped. He was supposed to be there. Let's put ourselves there. Nothing is going to happen to anybody because they all point and they all blame.
To me, you have one job. You have one job. If, and it's an A and B thing, president gets shot, you gotta go.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And can I say one thing?
No, I want to stay.
And I know people are going to be upset. I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me. This whole female, I don't give a shit. You know who I want in charge of Secret Service? An ex-Navy SEAL sniper, like people that, what the hell has she done? Has she ever served? Has she ever been in combat? This is a security job. I don't want her doing shit, and I don't want 9 short midget Secret Service girls trying to cover my crotch. Like, it's unbelievable.
I think there's something here that we really need to look at. I look at the witness, and I look at the attitude of witnesses, and I have watched a lot of congressional testimony over the years. I've also watched a lot of open testimonies from court, from mob cases. And I can tell you, this is a witness that knows she's protected, that is just defiantly looking at everybody with this FU face and giving no answers. She is protected. She reports to Mayorkas. Mayorkas is protecting her. Someone has told her, look, you're being called to the carpet on this hearing. You are going to hear it. These people are raw. They're upset. You're going to hear it from both sides of the aisle. Don't worry about it. Just get through it. She has no further career. What you just saw here is the end of a career. Where does she go after this? She has to have received a promise and protection. This is exactly the way witnesses for the state stonewall district attorneys, and they have that look on their face that they are not worried about anything, and it's defiance because they've got protection in their pocket. I believe she has received the promise of protection, and whether her career continues or not is not material. You look at that, she feels like I'm cool. This sucks. This is a tough day, but I'm cool. I'm going to get out of this.
Great point.
What's this one, Rob? Oh, I've seen this.
So there's to Vinny's point about DEI hires. This is Tim Burchett, where he calls Kimberly Cheatle the worst DEI hire in history on Capitol Hill.
Let me ask you one more question. You found explosives in the shooter's possession. Is that correct?
The FBI found explosives.
Do we know who directed this young man how to make those explosives?
I believe that the FBI is still looking into that on their investigation.
Ms. Cheatle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
He's not lying, by the way. I mean, look, Microsoft closed their DEI unit. CNN closed their DEI unit. The thing about Vinny, again, I've talked about this for a while, is in business, when you come up with a bad idea, and I've come up with many of them. You're going to, as a founder, as a CEO, you're going to come up with ideas that are just terrible. Comp plan. I've changed my comp plan 50 times until it finally worked. You know what's the great signs of a bad comp? Is the behavior of salespeople, period. So what does it mean? You come up with a bad comp plan, sales try to take advantage of, or sales try to take shortcuts, or sales try to slow down, or urgency slows down for hitting certain numbers, or compliance takes a hit, or teamwork takes a hit, or managers stop worrying about training other people. They just kind of worry about what they're doing. Your comp plan could make the leader selfish. Your comp plan can make leaders focus on helping you. The comp determines the behavior, right? And then we'll come back 90 days later saying that was the shittiest comp plan we came up with. We got to make the adjustment, right? Bad policies produce bad results, forces you to make adjustments. Unfortunately, specifically the last 4 years, we can go to Obama kind of started it in 2008, but it really accelerated the last 4 to 8 years, right? These DEI hires, okay, where you're talking about started off with, even on the Republican side, started with a DEI hire. You know who was the first DEI hire? Who's the first DEI hire on the Republican side?
DEI.
Who's the first Republican? And by the way, she's going to get upset because she watches this.
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin was a DEI hire. You mean to tell me McCain only had all these other choices? So Republicans also started this DEI hire. We can blame the other side. Guess what? Didn't work. Great. You did your governorship at, what do you call it? Alaska. Came in. Then who else followed the DEI hire next? Then Obama didn't fire a DEI hire. His DEI hire was a white guy. Okay. So he flipped the DEI hire.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's the point. He went with Joe Biden, right? And then you go to Trump. He picks a white guy, Pence. Like, okay, great. I need Indiana. He helps me out. Then all of a sudden, all these companies are saying, well, BlackRock, if you don't have this kind of stuff, we can't give you this. Then, Hollywood starts saying, hey, if you want to get a Oscar being nominated, you have to have these people on the underrepresented community and all this other stuff. Then NASDAQ, right now, if you want to be listed on NASDAQ, do you know what NASDAQ asks you? Rob, you can pull this up. NASDAQ asks you, who on your board is part of the underrepresented community? Who is in your board that's either LGBTQ, black, colored, all this stuff, disabled? Who do you have on your board part of the underrepresented community? Guess what that leads to? That leads to the Texas stock market because it's a bad idea, okay? Watch this. What is the board diversity disclosure rule? The board diversity disclosure rule requires companies trading on the exchange to have a member on their board directors who identifies as female as a member of an underrepresented racial or ethnic minority or is a member of the LGBTQ community. Why does this matter to have it? Guess what? It's a bad idea. Now Microsoft shuts it down. CNN shuts it down. Going to seeing what's happening now, this bad idea, and by the way, if you continue listening to AOC, you know what I like what AOC said at the end? AOC at the end says, you know what my concern is? Here's what my concern is. My concern is the next 100 days, the temperature is going to go so high that if this would have happened now, in her words, America would be a different America, okay? Forget about protesting. It would have been horrible. So a part of me, the reason why I like what AOC says is for the following reason. Within the Democrat, is AOC a Republican or a Democrat?
Democrat.
On the Democratic Party, just like the Republican Party, Republicans have what? Rhinos. What's a rhino?
Like
Republican name only.
Yes.
Republican in name only,
Gotcha.
right? You're a rhino.
Rhino.
We had a couple rhinos here you went at it with, right?
Yep.
Like the Lincoln Project, that community, they're all
Steve
rhinos.
Schmidhead.
Go on the left. On the right. Is Trump a establishment candidate or an anti-establishment?
Anti.
Is DeSantis a anti-establishment or an establishment candidate?
Probably more of an establishment guy.
He's a 50-50. He's a hybrid.
Yeah.
He's a hybrid, right?
Yes.
Is Christie an establishment or
establishment?
Of course. Now go on the left, right?
Okay.
On the left. Is Biden an establishment candidate?
1000%.
Is Kamala Harris a establishment candidate?
Yeah.
Is Barack Obama an establishment candidate?
Probably the top.
Founder.
Is AOC an establishment candidate?
No.
That's the point.
Yes.
So she's not saying what they want her to say. She's an anti-establishment Democrat. She's still a Democrat. She's still a socialist, but she's an anti-establishment one that they can't cover her mouth. So she's sitting there. You know what she's thinking about? Hey, man, they could do this to me one day
when she runs
because I'm an anti-establishment Democrat. I don't have their backing. I don't have their backing on what they're saying about me. Do you know the last time we introduced this ad, what happened to it? Within seconds, it sold out. We ordered 1,000 of these. Like this, it was gone. And we got hundreds of emails saying, hey, I want one of these. Can you please put it back up again for us to order? So this is what we're doing just to prepare on what's going to happen. Because the Olympics are about to start, and because those of you who watch this podcast love America, this hat says USA on the front of it. If you're proud American, you love America, sport this hat. On the site, it says Future Looks Bright. On the back, it says Valuetainment. On the side, it's got the American flag. And on the lid, it says the future looks bright. Never have we had a merch that sold out as fast as this. So here's what we're doing. That's the QR code. You go out there. We have a special USA gear, Team USA gear that is here on vtmerch.com. I'm telling you right now, when you go there, it's going to tell you on back order, but it's going to be first come, first serve because we're ordering. There's some amount that's going to go out immediately, but some of it's going to be on back order. The shirts, the hats, highly, highly recommend during this season, the next 3 to 4 months. When you go to work, maybe you don't want to feel like you want to wear some other hats, but maybe you're comfortable wearing a Team USA hat. Sport this gear when you're going to work, when you're going out over the weekend. Let people know you're proud to be an American. We got the gear here for you. A bunch of different things. If you can zoom in on a couple of those shirts when you order it, it says USA on the front, and it says Future Looks Bright on the back, and it's got the American flag on it as well. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order. Don't be one of the ones that hesitates. Order 2, 3 for your friends, your family, your peers. There's even gear for women. The last time we had some female gear that we announced, women's gear we announced, it actually went very quickly. I got a bunch of pictures as well of people. When you get this gear, sport it, tag us. We share it on the podcast while we're going through it. So again, do your thing.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.